So I think one of the challenges, at least this is what I've perceived, and I think what other people have struggled with, is that when you have a youth program, you put a lot of time and energy and staff into cultivating this community, that you can have a community that sort of runs parallel with the church. Instead of being a part of the church, being integrated with the church. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think one thing we have to consider with youth ministry and the way we minister to young people is that we are forming their theology of the church. And I think people have spent a lot of time bashing youth ministry and the entertainment and the fun and games aspect, and I'm not going down that road. But if that is the way that we lead with youth ministry and the way we portray youth ministry, that is how we are informing students on what the church is. The paradigm that they're building is that the church is consumer driven, as you said to me not too long ago. It's consumer driven. It's for me. It's for my entertainment. It's for my pleasure, and rather than it's about me worshiping and glorifying the Lord in my life, me needing the means of grace, and me being transformed for the sake of the kingdom. And so the first thing I would say is we have to have that in mind. I think that with that being said, if we segregate kids from the rest of the congregation, we're doing them a great disservice, not just in the immediate, but in the long term. One, we're robbing them of the opportunity to see role models, like Christian men and women who are young adults, or who are young parents, or who are empty nesters, who are living out the gospel in their life. And Paul in Titus, when he's talking about ministry to young men, he talks about how important it is for there to be role models for them. So we rob them of that opportunity. And I think one other thing is kids will finish youth ministry, and they have no ability to interact with people who are not their peers in college or in their young adult church experience. So they may go to a campus ministry, but they don't go to a church because they just haven't been taught on how to integrate properly into the church as a whole.
What are some practical things that we make part of the program to make sure that they are doing what the rest of the church does?
I want to back up one second before I think of that, but we also rob the rest of the church from, I think, the perspectives and understandings and childlike faith of our kids when we separate them. So it's terrible on both sides. Let's connect them. And then practically, in my own ministry back at Christ Church, looking for organically what's already going on, where people are passionate in serving their community or living out the gospel in specific ways that has room for our kids to come alongside and build relationships with them, is kind of what worked for us. So is it a homeless ministry? Is it a gardening ministry? Is it some way that someone is serving, that there's space for kids to come alongside and engage with them and learn from them and see Jesus in their life and kind of let it rub off on them? How can we facilitate that?
Yeah, one of the biggest factors, I think, this was implemented before I took my current position, was that the children were required to stay in the service. That we didn't have youth ministry during corporate worship, and that they were required to stay in, and the parents were to model for them what is practicing worship like, what is confession for, watching your parent sing poorly but loud and with joy a hymn, so that, I think, is something that has just really helped us build a program around. And then, as you said too, just doing what the rest of the church does. If the church is involved in justice, then how is the youth ministry taking part, coming alongside them and taking part in justice too? Discipleship, all of the different things. Serving the city is a big thing in our church. And so what are the ways that our church, that we as leaders can get that into the DNA of the kids? This is their church. How do you get them to take ownership of it themselves? So, all right, amen.